if you can't scratch? What is an MC if you can't rap? What is a beat without a live clap? Well, I could do it all, baby, just like that. What is a DJ if you can't scratch? What is an MC if you can't rap? What is a beat without a live clap? Well, I could do it all, baby, just like that. A party people all around. Can you get down? I wanna see you dance to my dangerous beats. Everybody freak. Baby dial, you know who I am. I rock two turntables with Uncle Jam. I'm the Egyptian lover, baby. I'm number one.
Good evening and welcome to the Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips here on YikesRadio.com. Here on the Poetry of Justice show, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And so what we do is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying, YikesRadio.com.
YikesRadio.com.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the sultry sounds of my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash. And Mr. Kevin Nash is the owner of this proprietorship here as Accelerated Radio. So I always take the time to give a very special shout out to Mr. Nash, because if it were not for his brainchild, I couldn't do what I so love to do here on Saturday nights, ladies and gentlemen. So I just always gave him a very special shout out. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I gave a very special shout out to our sponsorship, starting with Lori G, a.k.a. The Benefactor. How are you doing tonight, Lori G?
I am doing well and so very excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sissy. Lori G is also the president of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company, and she keeps the wheels turning here on the Poetry of Justice show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also going to give a very special shout out to one of our newer sponsorships, and that is G Babies Catering, LLC, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going to look for Chef Mac. He is most notably on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. That's G Babies, GBABIES ladies and gentlemen. So I want you to check him out because that's my nephew. Moving on down the trough, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to give a very special shout out to, he's not here tonight, but we call him around these parts the legendary Lord Rocca. He is with Starring Crescent Castings, ladies and gentlemen. So he makes sure he keeps us on fire and hot here on Saturday night. So we love you, we're Lord Rocca, and I'm going to give you a very special shout out. And then we have another sponsor with us on the Poetry of Justice show. That is to WMPJ Steelworks, and we call that the man of steel around these parts. But he also has a new project that he's been working on, ladies and gentlemen, and we also want you to take a time to check out Mimo with APS Muscle Cars. Sponsorships here, ladies and gentlemen, a brand new facility in Signal Hill, California. Let's say you may have some low riders, you may have hot rods, you may have a Harley Davidson, you may want to do some customization or some LS swaps. You don't know? Call him up, ladies and gentlemen. MEMO with APSmusclecars.com. That's a mouthful. And so we're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and we are blessed to have the amazing, the very super talented Rodney Allen Rippy in the house tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful. We're hanging out. Wow.
I'm so super juiced. I'm so excited. I can barely breathe. You see my... Anyway. I just keep going on and on to the break of dawn, and we are also blessed to have another very handsome gentleman in the studio tonight, Mr. Marvin Spruill. And how are you doing tonight, Mr. Spruill?
Oh, great. Wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Amen, and we're blessed to have you, so thank you for coming with us tonight.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And then I'm honored to have my amazing sister on my side tonight. How are you doing, Lori G?
As I said, I'm super, super excited, right? Because this makes me all warm and fuzzy inside, right? You can't say the name Rodney Allen Rippy without smiling.
I know.
Right?
Hey, all right.
And so I'm going to give you our little backstory, right? So
Sure.
Our little backstory is I'm sitting there and it's early morning and I'm doing my work, and That's when I do a lot of the preparing for social media and all that jazz.
Okay.
And when I saw your message, I'm like, holy smokes, oh my God, Lori Ray, we might be blessed. And then I'm texting my sister first thing in the morning. I'm like, Sissy, look, Lori, Sissy, we might get blessed. And I'm like, pray about it, Sissy, pray about it. And seriously, yes, on and on to the break of dawn.
Absolutely.
I know. It's just been a treat because it's a blessing, and I grew up with you, and we grew up together,
Yep.
and seeing your face and what that had to be like, and there's so many questions I have for you. But I just want you to know that I'm honored. I'm not going to steal all of the time. I'm going to let my sissy talk to you a little bit and let you do what you came here to do.
I'm all yours. I'm all yours. No problem.
All right, go ahead, sissy.
Well, I just, it's incredible. And I think a great way to kick off our time together is for some of our younger listeners, they may not remember how monumental this moment was. Not only in television, not only in commercial advertising, but for us, African Americans, as a race of people.
Thank you.
Definitely. So I see you as definitely a trailblazer.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to hear about those individuals in your life who pushed you forward in that way. But we found a clip from one of your Jack in the Box commercials. And so we'd like to take a couple moments and share that with our listeners. Is that okay?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Just to get
Go
the
for it.
essence. Good. This is for Laura Rocca.
Yes, for you, Rocca.
Hi, I'm Rodney Allen Rippy. There's a lot of things you can eat at Jack in the Box. This is a Jack steak sandwich, and these are pretty delicious too. And this is a taco. This is an onion ring. There might be 10,000 things at Jack in the Box. Pack up the kids, crank up the car to Jack in the Box. Come as you like, come as you are to Jack in the Box.
Right? And then the next thing I'm seeing is Soul Train, and then the next thing I'm seeing are the Jackson's 5 cartoon, right?
yeah, oh, yeah.
And then you're back again at the next commercial break. I love
There
it.
you go. That was it. That's what
That
happened.
was it.
What does that take you today when you see that clip?
I was just a little guy. I was from a middle-class family on the west side of Long Beach. That's where I was born. So shout out to all the Long Beach people out there. Whoop, 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 whoop. And, I was just very blessed to have a great family, a mom and dad who loved me. And, my dad, he was a hard-working guy. A lot of people don't know, one of these big, this iconic commercial campaign that rolled out of Long Beach, California, my dad was a trash man. My dad worked for the sanitation department of Long Beach. So he was a humble, hardworking man. And my mom was just a home technician. She wasn't a housewife. Mama, she ruled the house like it was her castle. It wasn't nothing that happened in the house that wasn't in her control. And the thing about it is she loved what she did. I mean, she loved to take care. That was her domain, and Daddy gave her space. Her, Daddy respected her. And, whatever her thing was, that was it, and Dad was normally out in the garage and fixing things. And, my dad, when we were living in Long Beach, as a hobby, he was restoring classic cars. That's what my pop did. So, Dad was always out in the garage, and his boys would come through. Hey, Fred, what you working on? And it was that type of thing. And my mom would come out. Hey, y'all want some water and stuff like that. And Mom would roll back in the house, and it was, that was her domain, and she ruled it, and like that was her castle. But the thing was, it was always out of love and respect, and I always knew how Dad gave her that love, and vice versa.
Yes.
And so, just growing up, that's how it all began, and it was so organic, it was so real. And just to let you know how it all happened, one day I'm sitting down, I'm watching The Little Rascals. And I'm just a little boy, I'm 3 years old, I'm watching The Little Rascals. Mom's in the kitchen washing dishes, and I keep cracking up. I'm laughing. And Mom comes in and says, "What's so funny?" And I point at the TV, and so Mom says, "What, you're laughing at buckwheat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm laughing at buckwheat." And she's like, what, you think you could do that? You think you could be on TV? I'm like, yeah. And my mom goes, wait a minute. You wouldn't be afraid of all the lights and the cameras? I'm like, nope. So my mom, she's one to call your bluff. She goes over to the Yellow Pages in 1972, and there used to be talent managers and agents in the Yellow Pages. And so Mom starts on a rotary phone dialing, and before you know it, she had my brother, Kenneth Wayne, my sister, Beverly Lee, and myself. After a little bit of trial and error, we landed on with one of the best talent agents in Hollywood, which was the Dorothy Day Otis agency. Wow. And my sister, she, out of the family, she worked first, so she did a Banquet's fried chicken commercial, a little frozen commercial, little frozen food. My brother, he went out for an audition for Coca-Cola. Remember the song, I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. So that was his deal, and then I was the baby of the bunch. The phone call came in, and it was for Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box was looking for a mascot. Actually, the company was in foreclosure. They were going into foreclosure.
Wow.
And they needed a boy, a girl. They didn't care what nationality to pull them out of this slump, and they needed a little mascot. And they figured, they said, we need something. I got called in. There was 100 kids called in on that audition. And that was my first audition, no training. We were not an entertainment family. I was just a little dude from the west side of Long Beach, and with my mom's love. And so we go in, and Mom said, after we got signed in, my mom's like, wow, all these cute kids, Rodney, your first audition, and you got all this competition. And my mom was sweating, and she was worried. And my mom just looked at me in the waiting room with all the rest of the kids, and she just said, baby, just do your best. Don't even worry about it. So we were sitting there, and my mom was always here. I mean, she was in it, and so she was like, Rodney, I smell food. She goes, I think they're going to give you some food. She goes, can you smell it? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I can smell it. And she said, okay, remember the manners I taught you. Don't talk with your mouth full. And I don't care what they put in front of you. Don't touch it until they tell you to touch it. And I was like, okay, I got it, Mom. She said, you hear me? I got it, Mom. She said, all right. And sure enough, they call my name. I go in, and my mom walks me to the door. And so she squats down and looks at me. She said, Rodney, baby, I can't go no further. She said, you're going to have to do this. She said, you got to go in. She said, I can't go with you. I said, okay. And she gives me a kiss on the cheek, and she turns the doorknob and pushes me into the room. And so I walk in, and sure enough, there was a table, and there was a little camera.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, ain't no problem. And there was a little camera on a tripod. And basically what happens is the guy, I sit down at this little table, and I look, and there's a lady, and she's grilling up Jumbo Jacks right there on the set.
On set?
Every kid got a fresh burger.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sitting there, and sure enough, she plops down this big old burger, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to tear this burger up. But I'm like, don't touch it, Rod. Don't touch it.
Yeah,
what
your mama said.
So I'm fighting it, and I'm just holding on tight. And so finally the guy says, what's your name? And I said, Rodney. He goes, Rodney what? I said, Rodney Allen Rippy. He goes, what's that in front of you? I said, that's the Jumbo Jack from Jack in the Box. He said, do you think you could get a bite out of it? I said, it's too big to eat. And he said, well, pick it up and take a bite. So I thought, okay, Rod, that's your green light.
That's so cute. Right.
Take a big bite. You might only get one. So I took this huge bite. And he said, tell me how you like it. And I said, I can't talk, my mouth's full. And the guy cracked up laughing, and he just said, oh, you can leave. And he's cracking up laughing, and I'm chewing. He's like, oh, you can go. So I open the door, and my mom was right outside the door. She sees the guy roll off the couch onto his knees, just dying laughing. And my mom was like, oh,
what did you do?
God.
Yes.
Oh, my God, they laughed my baby out of here. So Mama grabs my hand, and she goes, come on, Rodney, let's go.
Oh, no.
So we walk out the door, around back, and she goes, baby, why was that man laughing at you? I'm still chewing. And she's like, boy, chew, talk to me. I'm like, And so she's like, talk to me. I'm like, okay, hold on. So I swallow. She's like, what happened? Why was that man laughing at you? I said, Mama, he gave me a burger. He asked me my name. He told me to take a bite. I told him I couldn't talk. My mouth was full. And he started laughing. And my mom was like, okay, baby, let's go. My mom thought that was it. She just thought I bombed. So we get in the car and we drive from Hollywood back to Long Beach. And my mom all the way coming down the Harbor Freeway. My mom keeps looking up at me in the rearview mirror and she's like, was it a good laugh, Rodney, or a bad laugh? I was like, Mama, he just laughed. I'm 3.5 years old. And so Mom was like, oh, baby. So we get back to Long Beach and I'm like, can I go play? Mom was like, yeah, Rodney, go play. So I'm out doing my thing in the front yard, you know, having a good time.
La, la.
And my agent calls and says, Flossie, they love him. He goes back in. They cut the field to 50. Rodney goes in number 1. And my mom was like, wait a minute. They laughed him out of the place. And she said, nope, whatever it was, they love him. Take him back tomorrow. So the next day, we show up again. The field is cut to 50. My name is already number 1 on the list. So I walk in there, Mr. Rippy, come on in. There's 49 other people sitting out here. I walk in. There's even more casting people. They got a burger waiting for me. They were like, hey, Rodney, look what we got. I was like, that's
For me?
They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, shoot. You shouldn't have said. So I jump on the burger. They die laughing. And they have my mom. They go, get Miss Rippy in here. So they open the door. And they stick their head on there. Miss Rippy, can you come in? And my mom is like, oh my gosh, why are these people coming to get me?
Her little nerves.
So Mom comes in with the big eyes like, boy, what have you done now? And the guy says, Miss Rippy, Rodney's our guy. And my mom's like, wait a minute, I don't understand. There's like 49 people out there. And the guy goes, no. We know what we're doing, Miss Rippy. Rodney's our guy. And my mom goes, but wait a minute, what about all those other people? He goes, oh, we'll handle it. That dude goes to the door, he goes, excuse me, everybody, thanks for coming in. We're closing casting. Well, we're so sorry. Thank you so much. And there was this big, and everybody's leaving. And my mom is like, was that fair to him? No, don't worry about it, Miss Rippy. Hey, Rodney, what's going on? And the rest is history. So that was a 14-year run with, and from Jack in the Box, one of the songs was actually, I had to sing a song called Take Life a Little Easier, which, there we go, it spun off into my album.
I love
it. It spun off into my album.
My own album, my God. What was that like for you? Seriously.
Well,
at the time, and what is it like? I mean, was everything just steamrolling so quickly? What was, you know what I mean? Like,
it was a steamrolling effect, and it was so much stuff happening all at the same time that we couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like boom, boom, boom. And I mean, the commercial campaign, the appearances, the travel. And my mom was like, what have I done? Oh, no. I didn't know this was going to happen. Nobody knew. And my mom just said, you know what, Rodney? And my mom was always realistic. She said, baby, this ain't going to last forever. She goes, this can't last forever. She goes, so my mom prepared me at a very early age. She goes, Rodney, enjoy this. You don't. And my mom told me something. She said, Rodney, never let this go to your head. She said, the moment that you start thinking that you're somebody, she said, they will hate you and turn away. And I never forgot that.
Yes.
So till this day, I appreciate people whenever I meet people. I'm in restaurants, and if people want to say, oh, Rodney, can I have autograph? Hold on, let me put this fork down. No problem. I appreciate people who remember, and I oftentimes say, well, where were you in 72? And people go, man, 72. And people go back, and it was a good time. It was a lot of great memories and things like that. And so I had, like I said, I've had the good fortune to work with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, from Sammy Davis Jr. to George Burns to Louis Gossett Jr. to Mel Brooks, Johnny Carson, Mike Douglas, Dinah Shore,
Michael
Merv Griffin.
Jackson.
Michael Jackson, straight up Michael Jackson, you know. And that's
amazing.
really how it all got started.
Wow.
That is just absolutely a beautiful story. Like, where are you right now?
I'm just in awe. That's
Aw.
amazing. I am in awe.
I know.
Definitely. Now, when you were, because you're 3 at this time when
3
you
and a
started
half.
this campaign?
3.5.
3.5. Wow. And there was no shyness, just like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Fun. People have asked me all my life, what did it feel like?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, being a little kid, I had a childlike mentality. I was just like, I just got a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they loved me. It was just like, I got a lot of friends. And a lot of times people would bring their little kids up to me. Hey, this is Rodney. And I'm like, hey, how you guys doing? I'm shaking hands and taking pictures. And that was it. It was never, oh, this is about me, or, you know, check me out. It was always like, wow. And again, growing up on the west side of Long Beach, people who knew my family, it was funny. For many years, nobody really knew, but it started to get out that that was our house. And people would ride down. I mean, if people came into town, we became a tourist attraction. They go, that's Rodney on Rippy's house.
Yeah.
And they would literally stop and point, and they would just wait to see if I would come outside. And my mom was like, she noticed that people would be, driving and parking outside. And it was the funniest thing. One day, I was out in the front yard playing. Mom's in the house washing dishes, and she looks out the front window over the sink, and she sees me doing autographs over the fence. And my mom is like, no! And she comes flying out the door. She goes, boy, come in the house. She's going to give me a heart attack. And I'm out there. They were like, oh, we're so sorry. We just wanted an autograph. And my mom was like, boy, don't do that. And she's like, but
They wanted an autograph.
they want an autograph. But I mean, I never forgot those good times, and I never forgot the people from the community, and it was always about, it was a real thing. I lived it, and it wasn't like, and it was never anything like my folks were tripping, and so, needless to say, my brother and sister, when Mom sat us all down, she goes, well, how do you like it? And my brother and sister really didn't like it. They didn't like and so they wanted out. And so Mom says, listen, I ain't going to force you. Whatever you want to do, you can change your mind later. But we had the campaign rolling, so we just kept rolling.
That's right.
And so from that was, again, all the promotional
Look
stuff.
at that, Lord. My God.
The
Take
T-shirt.
life a little easier.
Take
Can
life a
you
little
imagine,
easier.
Lord? Look at
And
that.
great promo stuff. Big shout out to Mattel Toy.
Look at the little
Mattel
doll.
toys. I used to
Mattel
always
toy.
love Mattel toys.
Yeah.
And they produced my talking doll, and that was actually this was actually a deal that went down with Mattel Toy. At one point, someone at Mattel, when they asked, well, how come you don't have any black dolls? And some executive said, oh, well, there's no market for black dolls. Created a firestorm.
Yes.
That set it off. And he was like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. And, oh, I'm sorry. And they were like, so they had to backpedal and do damage control. And they said, well, if there are any black doll makers out there, we're willing to see what you got. And so they created something called Operation Bootstrap. And that opened up opportunities for black, doll manufacturers to present to Mattel Toy, the billion-dollar, the #1 toy maker in the world. And a wonderful group called Shandana Toys won the bid, and they created the Rodney Allen Rippy doll. They created the J.J. Jimmy Walker doll, the Flip Wilson doll.
Oh, my God.
And so a very, very dear, sweet friend of mine, I saw a doll still in the box, almost $450, and they bought it for me for Christmas. So I got a brand new Rodney Allen Rippy doll, never been opened, still in the box.
That's so cool.
That is so cool.
But humbly, like I said, I'm looking at hopefully releasing the doll, because so many families and they have kids, and you want to see that positive reflection of your child, and the child being able to see themselves in their
Right.
toys. So hopefully, I'm looking at trying to put a deal together with Mattel Toy and see if we could do a re-release, kind of like a retro line.
Absolutely.
So fingers crossed.
I remember that was a big deal. I remember looking for dolls when we were little girls, Mommy trying to find us the proper dolls. You know, dolls that look like us. That was hard to do at those times. So that's why it was such a big deal for you to be there. You know what I mean? That's the impact, because we have like the black exploitation things going on in the 70s. We've
we
got it
go.
all going on.
Yep.
You know, and then we have you that's being a trailblazer and letting other little black boys and black girls know that we can do things too.
Absolutely.
I think that's what's one of the most
Yes.
important things. What do you think, Sissy?
I so agree. I mean, it's just incredible when I think back over that time. We grew up in the city of Compton. I can't wait to get to your political career, right?
There you go.
That's where we grew up, and I think growing up we were not really aware of difference and of racism.
Sure.
Because we came, from a family that had a lot of different colors of people in
Beautiful.
that family. But as I grew up and looked back, there really was a lot of that in the city of Compton, in our circles in which we travel. When you, as an adult person, look back on that groundbreaking moment when you got this commercial and how it paved the way for so many other talents that are in that industry, how do you feel about that, or what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, it's a huge honor, and my mom, and having the support of my family and things like that. And my mom told me, it was really, she said, Rodney, a lot of people are counting on you. And I'm like, come on, Mom, I'm just a little kid. She goes, Rodney, people are counting on you. And I had that awareness at a very early age in life, even till this very day. I carry that as a badge of honor. I carry that, and I meet people, and it's funny, I meet people from Latinos to white guys, anybody, and they go, "You're Rodney Allen Rippy. My name is Rodney." That, and everybody used to call me Rodney Allen Rippy when I was a kid. It was funny. I was at a restaurant one night, and I was checking in and doing reservations. And I said, "Hey, my name is Rodney Rippy." And this white guy behind me tapped me. He goes, "Excuse me." He goes, "You're not Rodney Allen Rippy." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're Rodney Allen Rippy?" He goes, "My name is Rodney." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "No, my brother always called me Rodney Allen Rippy." And whenever I'd get on my brother's nerve, he'd say, "Shut up, Rodney Allen Rippy." And he goes, I would cry, and he would never tell me who we were. And so me and him talked, but it was really funny. But I appreciate, the support, and I'm really, really hoping that I can use this, everything as a platform, my education, my connections, wonderful shows like this, to continue to grow, impact the community, and the type of projects that I do and that I'm focused on is about diversity. It's about getting the truth out there. It's about showing the best of all sides of everyone. We have so much to offer, and we have delivered. We done stood and delivered and took, we took the cheap shots and the test of time, and here we are. We're still standing. Thank God we're healthy. It's 2022. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean,
so excited.
It's amazing to think about from this time, 72 to now, and I'm like, black don't crack.
That's right.
53, 53, black don't crack. And I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty happy. I don't have any regrets, and I look back on life, and I'm thankful for people, again, like you, people who remember, and, my associates, people I'm working with, and creative people. And I tell people all the time, the best is yet to come.
Of course.
I just have one question before, because I really want to get to what you're doing now, which is so incredible. But, there's been so many childhood actors, right, that weren't able to transition really successfully
Right.
But you've done a wonderful job in that. What was your experience as a megastar at such a very early age? And did you have any struggles as you became an adolescent and kind of moved along in your career?
I have to tell you, there was no struggle because it was always very real. You know, I was, like I said, I was just a little kid on the west side of Long Beach. I grew up knowing who I was from that point, you know, and it never changed, you know, and I saw the travel and the promotions and the people I met. It was never like going into my head. It was just like, man, I remember this is one serious thing. I was on, one day we had to do a shoot, and me and my mom was there. We had to get there early. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was tired, and I was sleepy, and I was cranky. And my mom said, she looked at me, and she said, "Baby, what's wrong?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm tired." And she said, "Baby, look." She said, "You know how your daddy gets up real early in the morning and go to work, and it's dark outside?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "You just like your daddy." She said, "You got a job to do." I said, "Mama, I'm just little." She goes, "Baby, you got a job to do." And I was like, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, baby, you got a job to do." And I was like, "Wow." And she goes, "You want to be like your daddy, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do want to be like daddy." And boom, I perked up, and I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm like ready. And those were the type of things that kind of carried me. And again, having an awareness, a godly awareness. I was brought up in a home that it wasn't no joke. You know, you got to walk it out. It's got to be real. And I appreciated family. You know, it's sad, you know, families today, you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff and dysfunction and mental illness and things going on. And I was in an old school family, you know. You walk through our house with your face frowned up. Mom was like, "Excuse me, you got a problem? Why your face tore up? Can I speak to you for a minute?"
Exactly.
And it was like,
it's not happening.
It wasn't happening. One funny story. I'm letting some of the stuff out of my book. Funny true story. I'm a little boy, and for some goofy reason, I just had this awareness that I need my privacy.
Okay.
And the lock on the door didn't work on the bedroom. And stupid me, I don't know why, I asked Mama, "Hey, Mama, can you fix the lock on the bedroom door?" And Mama said, What you doing in there that you need to have the door locked?" And I was like, "I ain't doing nothing." She said, "Yeah, you are. You want to lock the door. What you doing in the bed? What you doing that you don't want people to see?" And I was like, "I'm just trying to, you know, do good housekeeping. The lock don't work. There was, you know, old paint in the door jambs. It just didn't lock." Mama's like, "Look, you ask me again, I'll take the door off the hinges." And I was like, dang, I was like, I just asked about the door lock. Now you're talking about taking the door off the hinges. I was like, "Never mind, Mama.
Let it go.
Never mind. The point is, families to this day, you start looking at families and parents forget to have that connection with their kids, you know. And kids, you know, "Oh, Mom, leave me alone. I'm going to be in my bedroom." And boom, shut the door. And they in there doing God knows what on their phones and computers and stuff. And I believe in technology. I really do. But it can become a problem. There's some monsters out here. There's some really bad things out here and going on. And so those are the type of things that never was a problem in my house.
Right. We kind of grew up in that same type of household, Rodney. You know, like you say, my mom and dad and mom, you know, same type of situation. And no, you could not walk through. Sometimes you may just be thinking about something that happened at school that day.
Oh, yeah.
And you just, that look on you. Why you got your face all twisted? What's wrong with you? And you be like, "No, nothing, Mommy. I'm sorry." Right?
Never mind.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't even never say. And she said, "What? I know you ain't talking. No, he said, she said, mess, girl. You better get off that phone right now." You're like,
"Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I didn't read it. I didn't."
Like, never mind. I'm okay. I'm good. And that's good.
Oh my gosh.
And see, I think that is the type of thing that, you know, having that type of parental involvement. And, you know, and like I said, some people might not like what I'm about to say. I always believe that you have to instill a little bit of fear into your child, because if they don't fear you, they're not going to fear their teachers, they're not going to fear the person on the street, they're not going to fear the police, and the whole spiral starts going. Because the first thing, you know, when we were kids growing up on the west side of Long Beach, we riding our bikes through the neighborhood, but we didn't want nobody in the neighborhood to pick up the phone and say, man, I seen Rodney, and they were throwing rocks at windows. And you didn't want nothing like that to happen. So we were like, no, man, I'm good, you know, because I don't want nobody to call mom and daddy. So there has to be that balance, you know. And yes, we were normal kids. I did it all. I fell down, scraped knees, wrecked on bikes and everything else. But you have to understand that it's a rite of passage, you know, and you have to understand, but that respect, the community, it really does take a community, you know, and a village to raise kids. But nowadays, people are very touchy about, oh, don't tell my child nothing, don't you know, it ain't none of your business. And so I'm like, we got to somehow pull it all back together, you know.
I think we can do it. What do you think, Sissy? I do. I'm interested in your thoughts, though, on how social media, and you've been pretty quiet, Marvin, so we want to pull you in, too, right? As to your thoughts on how does social media impact our, you know, that home structure that you're talking about, where it used to be like, I remember, you know, the only phone we had in our house was in the kitchen that we could use, and you used that kitchen phone with everyone else. It wasn't no going in your room, closing the door, talking on the phone. But now kids have phones at their discretion and at their disposal. I don't know. Do you think that's a good thing, or?
Well, you know, technology, you know, I'm working on some major projects right now in STEM education, working with an incredible group out of Richmond, Virginia. I am part of a collective impact with a group of intermediaries, everybody from, transportation technology, you know, drones, cyber, you know, metaverse, so many different things. I believe in technology, but it has to be managed. And also, too, you have to be able to tell a child, when you see something, your eyes are not meant to see some of this stuff. And when you see it, you have to raise your children in a way that says, nah, I don't need to be looking at that. But, you know, nowadays, these things are, they're unlocked. You can type anything in them and it's coming up. So you have to raise your children in a way and say, look, enjoy your youth. Focus on this. Focus on your education. Focus on the things that matter. And watch out from this stuff, because, you know, you do open up Pandora's box. And once a young mind sees these type of things and starts to experience it, because, I mean, come on. I mean, stuff that kids are doing now, we wasn't even nowhere near thinking about that stuff. And I'm like, oh, Lord, you know.
Right, for real.
And so, you know, I've never been married. I don't have any kids. Would love to. I wish I would have been married a long, long, long time ago. But, you know, he's on his time. And so I'm like, hey, I'm yours. And, you know, whenever it's your deal, I'm fine. But in the meantime, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of other great impacts to put together. And, I mean, it's just projects and people. And that's what it's all about, you know.
Rodney, what made you decide marketing for your educational path?
I love the creative. I got my degree in marketing and advertising. I started my own marketing PR company, Rippy Marketing Group. I started a digital banner ad company, Stealth Mobile Ads. I have a radio network, me and a colleague, Dan Pettigrew, in KJBM Radio. It's all beautiful music, all instrumental. So we're playing music, streaming all over the United States, the UK, and Canada. And I chose marketing and advertising as a offshoot to entertainment, because I'm being an actor. I know that you're carrying a brand like Jack in the Box, but there's a whole lot. There's a big machine behind this on how that stuff gets leveraged and the merchandising and the dolls and things like that. And so I was like, yeah. And so now I ain't tooting my own horn. I'm a bad boy because I use everything I got.
Right.
My connections, people, media. This is media. You guys are not just talking to one or two people. You guys are talking to hundreds of thousands of people at a time. You're building your fan base. People love you, and you're impacting the community. That's why I got involved in marketing.
That is amazing. I don't know. I'm just thinking about like old school marketing. Right now, my brain is at Bewitched. That's just where my brain is. Because I'm thinking 70s. I'm thinking about our childhood, and I'm thinking about Darren Stevens, and his advertising agency and the creative ideas and things of that nature. That's just where I'm still stuck there, guys, and I'm having a good time. So don't take it away from me. Look at this, because look at This is a part of my homework earlier today. Look at this photograph. It's so cool. I love it. Rodney Allen Rippy, ladies and gentlemen. So this is Good Times here on the Poetry of Justice show.
Yes.
My goodness. So we say that. I'm going to talk a little bit. Let's see what other people have to say about you. Rodney Allen Rippy, born July 29, 1968, is a former American child actor, television personality, marketing director, producer, and politician. He appeared in TV commercials for the fast food chain Jack in the Box in the early 1970s, as well as in numerous roles in television and movies. I'm so excited. Tell us about the Harlem Globetrotters popcorn machine.
It was a Saturday morning special where
I remember that.
I remember that. Yes.
I was blessed to be able to go into households all across the United States with the Harlem Globetrotters, and it was a positive experience. And I was supposed to be the brains of the bunch. So the Globetrotters, the whole team were just, they were going through things, and something would happen, and I'd say, no, you got to be honest. You got to tell the truth. And they were like, oh, man, okay, I guess you're right, Rodney. And so it was a kid show, and I'm still connected. Matter of fact, I just recently spoke with the CEO of the Harlem Globetrotters and looking to make that real bridge again. And so that's where, because kids need that positivity, they really do.
They're just missing out.
Absolutely.
And I think COVID
so many
would allow us to do that again. You know what I'm saying? For people being at home, the streaming scenarios. So we're going back into the households to a degree, in a different avenue, in a different vein. If it makes sense. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it does, definitely. And I used to remember Saturday mornings, and the best time to me, you guys, I'm going to take you way back to the dinosaurs, was in the summer. Remember in the summer they were getting ready for fall programming, right?
Get you ready for
Things
that.
happened then, and and they would preview all of the upcoming Saturday morning cartoons that were going to happen. And I couldn't wait for those Saturday morning cartoons. You'd be counting off the days of summer.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock.
There you
Absolutely.
Couldn't wait.
But those they had messages.
Yes.
They had messages. I have a little grandson. He's 4.
Going on 44.
Yes, going up 44. And some of the stuff, like his mom is on him. She doesn't let him watch anything. He's a VeggieTales kid, if you guys know VeggieTales. But sometimes that YouTube, it just throws stuff, and he'll get an outlier. And you're like, what message is this? Right? So I do, and you're like, wow. I don't know if parents aren't as engaged and on top of what their children are watching. That makes a difference. And so I think there is a huge space for what you're trying to put forward, and we have to rally behind you as a community. Rashid.
That can be filtered out, because there is a YouTube for kids where it's strictly where it strictly has YouTube for kids where they can't see any of that other stuff that can be marked as inappropriate.
Yes, sir.
Or is
he's on YouTube for kids, but you should watch YouTube for kids.
It's still a little racy.
No, I think there's still there are themes that come across disguised in children programming.
Right.
That the value system is somewhat questionable.
Are you talking about as far as what's being taught today on what should be accepted? As far as homosexuality, which way are you trying to go with this?
Well, for me, I I think it's more along the line of violence. I think within our communities, we are becoming desensitized to things like, the poor woman who was killed by a homeless person because that person attacked her and hit her, and she hit her head. Right. That lands on our community sometimes as, it's another death. The other young UCLA girl that was murdered and stabbed to death senselessly. Oh, it's just another death. But when we really begin to boil down, where does that desensitization come from? It may come from some of these cartoons and video games and things that our children are playing.
I'm not going to blame video games for any of this.
Right. Well, no, I don't think you blame any particular medium.
That's not a fair argument.
Right. Well,
to just sit here and try to blame video games for societal issues, what people already have issues with before video games were even a thing. These are already issues. Now, when it comes to cartoons, y'all grew up with Looney Tunes, right?
Oh yeah.
Y'all remember Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd?
Yep.
Yosemite Sam.
Yep.
Wile E. Coyote. Y'all saw all the violence that was going on in those shows, and y'all came off fine.
Well, I mean, but let's be real. What's happening now is there is a glorification of doing wrong. Look at these flash mobs that are breaking into stores and stealing stuff. And I mean, I don't care. It was, I was just talking to some people, and we were talking about the thing that happened at the Capitol, where everybody went and went over the Capitol. Even if I was there and it was a group of black folk, and we said, you know what, we're going up there to the Capitol.
We wouldn't have made it like 3 steps.
Exactly. And I would have been like, whoa. Y'all talking about going to the Capitol? Federal grounds and scaling walls? I'm like, no. Y'all don't need to do that. I would have told anybody. I don't think that's a good idea. But it was funny. Matter of fact, I'm doing some stand-up, and I was telling a friend of mine, I said, you know what? There is something that black folks don't have that white people have, and it's the squirrel gene. Squirrel gene. I said, did you see them white folks? They climbed up them walls with no ropes. They just like little squirrels. And black people said, we can't do that. We cannot scale walls like that. No ropes. They just
well, they were also military trained.
I understand. No, I'm just trying to I'm trying to lighten it up.
Right.
But the fact is, I have to say, thank God that there wasn't a militia of black folk, because it would have been live.
Really, really bad.
It would have been live rounds. It would have been a whole bunch of dead folk.
That would have been a massacre.
Oh, it would have been a massacre. It was no doubt.
Right, and as far as violence in video games, they have a rating system.
Okay. What is that rating system like, Rashi?
So the rating system, you have the rated E for everyone.
Right.
Okay.
You have the rated T for teens. And then you have like the rated R, but that's like way over here. But then like right here in the middle, you have rated M for mature. Now a game like Fortnite, that's rated E for everyone because there's no actual blood, guts, and such in that game.
Right.
They're shooting. Yes. There is in fact shooting. Isn't like just like overall just like violence, gore. It's not like you're playing Call of Duty, where in Call of Duty you actually see the blood and guts because it's war.
Right.
It is a game based around war.
Right.
And war, as we know,
is painful.
It's not a pretty thing to just fantasize because war has brought nothing but pain and suffering. There's really been a time where there's been a actual peaceful resolution from any war that has been on this earth.
Right.
Now I will say, cartoons. There have been certain controversial subjects that have been brought up in cartoons that have to do with today's society.
Okay.
There's always going to be those controversial topics, but at the same time, even like since like the early times, there have always been like underlying messages that have been in kids' cartoons.
Oh yeah.
That kids at that time will never understand until they grow up.
Right.
But adults, they will understand that on the fly, but kids will never grasp that concept unless it's told to them.
Right.
Okay.
But there's also a spiritual and a moral breakdown that is happening in America. I don't know if you're watching this, but now it don't take nothing for people to kill you. Kill you. I mean, it starts with just a little bit of road rage, and now people don't realize how many people are riding around packing guns, because some people are packing guns because they feel they need to be protected.
Yep.
But other people are saying, I wish somebody would. And so where do you fall? You know, and I was raised in a household. My dad had a gun. I remember being, I wasn't even in the 7th grade. And seriously, and I knew Daddy had a .38 snub nose in a Crown Royal bag in a unlocked. It next to his bed, it was in there.
At our house, it was under the mattress.
Right, so he knew where it was. In case you need to get to it.
He literally took us in. He showed us a Crown Royal bag. He said, "Don't touch this thing. This thing will kill you." And he said, "But in the event that if you're ever in a situation that if somebody broke in this house," he said, "you ain't even got to shoot." He said, "All you got to do is point it at them," and he goes, "They will run." And I always knew, like. But again, as kids, when we were growing up, there was a little fear factor. Now kids are fearless because I don't know whether it's coming through in programming, the music, the attitude, what they see, what they talk about on the playgrounds and school. Because now, it doesn't take much. And, you hear about kids shooting their classmates. I mean, it ain't no more fighting. They shooting. And once you pull that trigger, that bullet has just changed lives at that point. And so I think that, again, there needs to be a lot of awareness. There needs to be some serious conversation, talk. Some people need to sit down. And again, there's a lot of mental illness going on and drug abuse. And I mean, nowadays, I'm no prude at all, but even with the proliferation of marijuana use, it's okay. Yeah, I understand there's certain people who need that for pain and anxiety and things like that, and I think it's far better than, some of the other toxic, medicines that people take. But at the same time, there are people who are doing it just for the fun of it. Let's be real. And, I've talked to some real professionals and people in law enforcement. They said this marijuana that's being used is causing psychoses in people. It is causing paranoia because this stuff is not your typical marijuana. This stuff got some kick, and this stuff is serious. And so I'm like,
so it's being laced. But
there you go.
But that can honestly be the argument for like anything that is free and available to the public. It can be used and abused by individuals.
Sure.
Individuals, back on my mind, some people have this addictive
personality. Yes, sir.
Where if they find something that they like, they will use and abuse that. Say, for example, I know this is a very extreme example.
Sure, go with it.
Back on my mind, you're addicted to porn. And it's like, I'm like, all day, every day, no matter what time and place, you're just addicted to just watching it, no matter who's around you at all times.
Now that's crazy. Yeah, but that's the spiritual breakdown. Because listen, the human body is a beautiful thing. Love is a beautiful thing. And like I said, even on the side of the gay and lesbian issue, I'm a type of person. I'm like, I keep my opinion to myself. That is something that people are going to do. I know what I love. I know what I like. Thank you very much. Whew. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And that's good enough for me, But everybody is going to choose their own road, and I think that one of the key things is, but what you're talking about, you start, things will affect you. If you're a person and you sit around and you watch porn all the time, you're going to have a real jaded opinion of women and how and what you expect and how it all works.
Sure.
I like it natural. I mean, if something's going to go down, let it be natural. Let it not be some type of premeditated foolishness in your head. and you talk to some, matter of fact, the average woman knows if you doing something stupid, because if they have been knowing their husband or wife for a long time and everything seems, and then you bust out, hey, how about we try?
You bust out.
Yeah, where you coming up with this foolishness? They know something ain't right.
Where you been? What you been doing? Who you been talking to? Where you get this shit from?
Exactly. And no, you can't do that. And so, I don't know. I think it's pretty telling, but I think that, listen, it is, those are those type of things that, because, a lot of times they tell you, don't do nothing that you can't do out in the public. If you shame or something, if you doing something, you slipping and sliding in the back and all this other crazy stuff, that's why, going back to mama taking the door hinge off, I was like, maybe I don't need to be sitting around, because mama will take the door hinge off.
She'll take the hinges off.
Easy.
And I thought to myself, I need to take the hinges off for myself.
Yes.
Because if you don't, life will have a tendency to out you. It will out you. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got, how much education you got. If you ain't careful, you will out yourself.
That's true.
You will out your situation. And so I'm just like, you know what? You can't allow temptation to take you over. You be real. Okay, we're all human. Understand all that stuff, but when you get to the point where stuff starts to take you over, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time before it turns bad, and that's the reason why. And me personally, I'm just the type of person, I constantly talk to myself. I'm constantly going, hold it, Ryan. Don't do that. Stop it.
Right.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Keep it together. Not a good look, and you think about all that stuff, and you take a deep breath and you say, yeah, I got through another day. There's all, and even if you did slip or whatever, you can say, well, Lord, there's always tomorrow.
Yes.
I can
But
pull
let's
it
stop
back.
right
Yes,
there.
if you missed the mark.
Yeah.
What's that word you said?
Lord.
You said Lord,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that people have to be Christians but I think humans have to have something they believe in greater than themselves, right?
Gotta have
And
some
so
power.
that is your grounding,
Yes,
right?
yes, ma'am.
Because that allows you to have limits.
Right.
That allows you to create a value system, no matter what it is centered around.
And limits.
Right? Exactly.
And
limits and a point that you won't go beyond. And I think sometimes, in my opinion, who am I?
Okay.
But I think we live in a society that has focused more on being politically correct, on what your rights are or what you should be able to say, regardless of how it lands. It's like screaming fire in a crowded movie theater.
Right.
You should have the freedom of speech to do that. And I think that is trickling down through our families, to our children, how we exist as humans.
Well, I said, I saw nothing but pure respect. It was funny. I remember a real situation. Mom and Dad were talking about a bill, and Daddy had given Mama some money. I remember walking in the kitchen and listening to this. I'm standing back like, oh shoot, here we go. And it wasn't all the time, but Dad said to my mom, hey, Flossie, did you take care of such and such? And she said, no, Fred, I didn't, because I had to take that money and pay something else. He said, but I thought I told you to pay this. She goes, Fred, I need to pay this. And he goes, but, and she goes, listen, you just make the money. I'll take care of the stuff. Don't worry about it. She said, had the lights ever blinked? Had the phone ever went off? Have you ever sat down at the table and there wasn't no food on the table? all right, then don't worry about it. And he was like, and that was it.
Okay, exactly.
Because she had him, but at the same time, it's that combination of, you know, real true communication. And see, it never got personal. It was always about that thing, whatever it was.
Yes.
And I remember there was never any nasty name calling, you this, and you know, and I just, till this day, matter of fact, I've told every girlfriend I ever had, I said, if I got to holler and hoop at you, I don't need you. I am not going to be doing that.
Not holler and hooping.
I was like, oh my God, that is should be hooping and hollering. That sounds just like my mama, Lord Jesus. Marvin, have you ever hooped and hollered?
Yeah, but I'm like, you know, and I ain't gonna have nobody hooping and hollering at me either.
That's right. I heard that, Rodney.
Life is too short. Love is too easy to have hooping and hollering going on. I'm like, no.
You are reminding me of my mother and father. Yeah, hooping and hollering.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sorry.
No, for sure.
Well, I agree with you, definitely.
Right.
But you know, I think a part of that, and this is a good segue, good transition.
Yes.
I think, right? A part of that is education, right? And sharing with our generation, future generations, that through education you have choices and you have options.
Yes.
So I'm interested in knowing more about your passion for STEM education. Being a creative, I'm very interested how you moved from performing arts education to STEM education, and how did you fall in love with that?
Well, and as things expanded, you know, technology is all around us. And when you look at STEM or STEAM, at science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. And so when you look at schools, when we were in school, we had home ec, we had wood shop, we had metal shop, we had electronics. Now they are stripping these things away from the kids, and the only thing kids have is their cell phone. If you talk to a young man or a young lady, they don't even have home ec. They can't cook. Man, I can burn. I love to cook. And so many young people don't have that. That is why we are bringing STEAM education to the inner city, starting at the public housing level. And it is going to go nationwide. Thank God for people back in who are heading this thing up, and we're going to kick it off in Richmond, Virginia, and we're going to go city by city, and we're going to go at the housing authority level, because there are some federal dollars, there is support there to start to take these programs in, and that's music. And just a couple days ago, I was hanging out with my boy Flavor Flav, and he's got an incredible podcast, and people don't know Flavor Flav plays 15 instruments.
Wow.
Self-taught. 15 instruments, and
amazing.
Beyond him being one of the greatest hype men in hip hop, the boy's got talent. And I started thinking of all of the things that, you know, young people, they want to be athletes, they want to be rappers, but I'm like, oh, hold it, you know, hey brother, you don't have to be a rapper. How about owning the company? How about understanding how distribution works, and the raw and the mechanicals, and get that real money? You ain't got it. You can be sitting in an office somewhere and money just be clack, 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 just clicking in, and you know that's
where it's at.
That's where it's at. that real, you know,
residual income,
money,
wealth building.
Yes, wealth building. Yeah, and that's where my buddy Marvin and
Dollar
Country Soul
Bill,
comes
y'all.
in. You know, that's what it's all about.
Mr. Spruell, talk to us. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
How have you been enjoying the conversation
I
so
have.
far? Yeah.
I have some thoughts about everything.
Well, could you give me a little bit of some of that input, sir?
Well, basically, I come from a small rural town in the Carolinas.
Okay.
My parents.
You remind me of
my
Mr.
parents
Hall.
had about 5 boys, 2 children, 2 sisters.
Okay.
And I brought up in the household, luckily, with a man in the house. And I had a firm hand to teach me what a young man is supposed to be. like Rodney, there were certain things you could do and what you couldn't do.
Yep.
But on Sundays, we were set by all around the table after church, and all the family would sit around. I think what has happened with the family that has escaped us of the family values that we grew up with.
Yep.
And like I said, God was always important in our household. I went to church every Sunday. I heard that old time religion when the preacher told it straight, like it was. Red is red and blue is blue and black is black and white is white. So you came out with an understanding of who was the boss. And God was the master and of everything in your life. And I think that we have gotten away from that. Since the church has become more commercialized, we have forgotten how it used to be in terms of how we was brought up. And that was instilled in me on everywhere I went. I mean, dealing with the music business, I ran into people who was doing speed and doing cocaine and doing ice. Back in those days, angel dust.
Right.
I didn't participate in that because I had a moral built inside of me.
A moral compass.
That no, don't you do that.
Yes.
And I had God always reminding me, boy, you don't want to participate in that. So I was around that on my travels in New York and places like that. But I never participated in that because I had that old time home bringing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
When my daddy needed to put the rod on me, he did. He had a long belt. All he had to do was bring that bell out, and he got my complete attention.
Full attention.
Immediately.
Exactly.
So, and my mother was firm but gentle.
Right.
And so that's what I got from it, of an understanding of how families are supposed to be. And I think what has happened is the family has become separated. The man is no longer in the household in some parts. And when you're raising a young boy in this time, it's very important to have that other hand, because now the mothers are becoming the fathers and the mothers. And it was never designed that way.
Nope.
And we have allowed a enemy to creep inside the household and split the house. And that's where you have this division of these young boys not understanding what manhood is.
Yes, sir.
And what your responsibility is. So they go and do all sorts of things and they walk away, they have no responsibility to it. Because, like I said again, the family, the black family in general, has been split apart. And that thing that kept us apart of God has been taken out of the family and has been replaced. Now, when I was coming up, you didn't have no cell phones.
No, sir.
You had to go to put a quarter, a nickel into the old
Little click.
telephone. Dial that number, or you get home, you had
Dial that number up.
That number, and you had that. Then they went to
The punch button. The push button. Yeah. Ooh, you was doing something there now.
So you had that, and I think in my neighborhood, if you done something wrong, the neighbor would discipline you, and when she tell your mother, you know you're going to get a whooping when you get home. Because we looked after one another.
Right.
It wasn't this, this type of thing. We looked at one another. So that has been missing, I think, in the neighborhood too, of us understanding how much we need one another.
That's so true.
And not in terms of what we don't need, but we do need.
Yes. I agree.
So the family value structure has been swept under the rug in the African American community most of all. Like Rodney, I never believed in basically. I always believed in marriage one time.
Okay.
Hey, I believe in marriage one time.
One time.
That's the reason why you ain't got married yet.
Yeah,
Same
right.
way me.
Yeah, okay.
I believe in,
Doing it right.
I'm single too, and no children. I believe that I want to be that type of responsible adult that would rear the children under there and teach them how a man would be and how a lady, a little lady would be.
Yes.
You know, that type of thing. And I think that also, I'm not saying it's in every household, but the epidemic, what we were talking about early, has totally gotten out of control. And to fix this, I believe, we got to step back into what made us what we are.
Right.
Remember, we went through 400 years of slavery. No other race could have done that. We came out of diversity, the Jim Crow laws, and we came still fighting what we need to fight.
Right
But
now.
we standing tall more than ever then. And sometimes you forget that, and then you accept what is and not was, and what can be. So when you go to these universities and schools, it can make you into what you're not,
Right.
and you come out not being what you should be, but being what somebody else wants you to be.
Please repeat that.
And I'm gonna elaborate on that, meaning that if you have a self-knowledge of who you are, and you have God in you,
Yes.
then you won't come out of these universities brainwashed to what somebody else wants you to be. So you can take the university and schooling that you have, and you use what you need to do have, and the stuff that you don't need to have, you can put it back where it belongs. But I think the history is missing from us
Right.
as a community of who we are, where we came from, what we got to do,
right.
and then from there, the kids today have no understanding of that. They have no understanding of what Martin Luther King stood for, or what the struggle with civil rights were, and all that kind of stuff. So they come into a commercial world with the cell phone. Now,
Right,
because
right.
cell phone, the internet didn't come in until 1996, when the graphics came on the computer.
Yes.
And then you have that. So, like Rodney said, this right here can be more dangerous than anything.
Yes, sir.
But if you had the if you had that training, then you know, I'm not going to do
Right,
this.
right,
I'm
right,
not going to do that.
Right.
I'm not
Right,
going to do
right,
this. I'm not
right,
going to do that.
right.
Because you was reared in such a way that you understand the do's and the don'ts.
Right.
And I think the kids today, we have forgotten that, and we have gotten away from that. So, in my story, in my life, that has taken me through the journey of singing hillbilly music.
Oh, I know. I want to hear about the
Wanna
Country
hear
Soul
about
Music
that.
Awards. Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Well, I was
From the Carolinas.
growing up.
Yeah.
I watched Soul Train,
That's right.
but my biggest thing was Hee Haw.
I remember Hee Haw.
Hee Haw.
Yes.
Grandpa Jones and Minnie Pearl.
Yes.
The first time I ever saw a black person on Hee Haw was Charlie Pride,
Yes,
Charlie
sir.
Pride.
who became my hero. So Charlie was a big influence to me. So my father used to get into the room. I was singing. My mom said, "What you singing?" I'm singing that old hillbilly music because that's what on Saturday nights we used to look at Hee Haw and the Grand Ole Opry.
Remember the
We
Grand
was my mother biggest artist was Loretta Lynn.
Yes, sir.
My father, little Jimmy Dickens. So I grew up listening to hillbilly music
Okay.
and found myself singing the music that I grew up with.
Okay.
So I used to sing in the choir, but I was not a soul man. I was a hillbilly man. Who loved country music.
Okay.
And I would sing in a lot of hillbilly clubs. I walk up there, and, what you doing here? I said, I'm here to sing some hillbilly music. And they would let me get on stage.
I need you to elaborate on exactly what is a hillbilly. Because I got a couple of people I think are hillbillies, but I need you to tell me the real
You need
deal.
them
Then
to check their
you already know
hillbilly
who I'm talking
card.
about. That part right there.
Hillbilly music basically,
Hillbilly.
it basically, it was from the old in the hills of people playing country music and playing the boards and stuff, and the banjo and that type of thing. Which
Deliverance.
the banjo is from Africa.
Not deliverance.
The banjo came from the Akantine, which came from Gambia.
Gambi.
See, when the slaves were brought over here, they brought the instrumentation with it,
Okay.
which was a Gambi instrument that the blacks played in Africa. The Gibson Company made it into the 3 and 4 string that you see today, but it was an African instrument.
Yes.
The violin is not European either. That also come from Africa. So therefore, they made it into the cornerstone of country music.
Got it.
So when I talk about hillbilly music, I was singing the old hillbilly songs that I love, because hillbilly is just basically what they call the old people from the mountains. Look at them old hillbillies back there. Them old hillbillies there. And those hillbillies there. But that's where they call hillbilly music came from. But the black people in the slave trade brought that music with them, and the whites became a part of what they saw, and when they were singing along with the black people in the hills. Because
That's
if
so
you look
kind.
at Appalachia,
Marvin.
what they did,
That's so kind. They took your culture.
yes,
Yes.
This-
Okay. I just
So-
want to give credit where it is. They
and-
took your culture.
sure, because country music. See, country music. What they never told you, that there were black hillbillies in
That's what I was
Appalachia.
wondering. That's what yes.
There was black hillbillies in Appalachia, and they were singing the banjo. See, it was the blacks and the whites singing the banjos and playing the music together in those old hills in the southern South. That's the reason why the New York, the people from the North would come down to the South and record people like Muddy Waters and the Redwood Workers, because they wanted that original sound. See, the first star on the Grand Ole Opry was a black man named D4 Bailey, who helped inspire George D. Hay to name it the Grand Ole Opry. He was the first African American star in the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
And one of the original members, he could imitate foxes and hounds and trains and those type of things with harmonica. And he was one of the biggest stars in country music in the 20s and the 30s and all that time. So you had, because you look at them old Gone with the Wind pictures.
Yes.
They used to dance in the barns.
Yes.
So what they had the traveling Grand Ole Opry used to go in the barns dance. So you had a 5'11", 5'4", 4'11" African American who stand on a Coke bottle and sing directly into the microphone.
Wow.
With that song. So the history of country music is African American. But what happened was, the reason why you never tasted country music is because of Jim Crow laws.
Got it.
And the Jim Crow laws pushed us out of our own music.
Yes.
See? And Reconstruction of America after the Civil War came along the Confederacy into country music, in which black people did not leave their music. They were forced out of their own music. So you had, Ray Charles came from Mississippi.
I was going to ask you about Ray Charles.
Ray Charles was a country boy who loved the Grand Ole Opry. And he has had 4 landmark albums: Country and Western 1, Country and Western Rhythm and Blues, Country and Western 3, I believe. And it became a cornerstone in country music.
Wow.
And Johnny Cash told Ray Charles, said, well, from me into the Country Music Hall of Fame, you taking country music to it never been before. But see, what he didn't realize, black people in the South grew up listening to the Grand Ole Opry. So it was a part of the American South that we grew up from Mississippi, Alabama, because you look at majority of people who live in California, they come from the Southern Beltline. And they grew up listening to that hillbilly music.
Yep.
And that's what they grew up listening to. So in my turn, my father used to go into my room and listen to all these hillbillies out here. He said, you must be old black hillbilly. I said, yeah. He said, why do you like these old hillbillies on the wall? I said, I just love them. So they gave me the nickname Hillbilly Jim.
Oh my gosh.
So I was singing the music that I love, but the man that I always inspired was that Charlie Pride.
Really?
I thought that he was the baddest man of everybody I saw, because he was inspired to me.
He spoke to you.
He spoke to my heart.
Yes.
And he was an inspiration to me to pursue country music as a life, a career. And I understood when I took the passion of doing that, there was no guarantees. But it was the love of it that I loved so much that I would travel on them Greyhound buses in the wintertime and all that, going to the Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow.
And then one day, about 17, 18 years old, I picked up ordered a red book, and I done cold calling, and one guy picked up named Ernie Bivens Promotion. And I told him I wanted to be a country singer.
Wow.
He said, he knows my accent. He said, you a black man? I said, yeah. He said, sing for me. So I sung hillbilly music for him. He loved it. He came and took me, came to Hosky, North Carolina, visiting folks, took me to Nashville for an audition, in which I passed.
Amen.
All right.
And he said, oh, Marvin, that's Grand Ole Opry. I said, oh, Grand Ole Opry. My eyes was just big. That's the Grand Ole Opry. So I went, so those things I did, and I got a chance to go to the Grand Ole Opry, and when people was leaving, I got up on stage and ran right into the middle where they had that center where all the stars were.
Wow.
And I closed my eyes picturing I will be singing in that square one day as a country singer. So I didn't look at anything else, because I knew everybody. I knew all the stars. I knew everybody. And I was just a humble country boy that loved country music. Even though you had James Brown, the Supremes, the Four Tops, I listened to them too. I raised up in the Christian church, but country music was in my blood.
What about Aretha Franklin music?
I love Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, all of them. I loved them, but it was not, to me,
Tina Turner?
I love Tina Turner. Tina Turner had she was a country singer too. She had a Country in My Soul album that she recorded. Because Tina Turner also from, I think, Mississippi, somewhere out there. So you had that type of influence. James Brown came on the Grand Ole Opry. Done his songs and their songs and got a standing ovation. So the influence of country, blacks in country music is immeasurable. So it led all to be up to me singing it, playing it, behind the scene with it. Management. Working with a young country singer named Josie Johnson.
Really?
She done David Allen Cole and Dwight Yoakam. With Vicky Van to being a part of the first, second, third annual Black Country Music Special.
Wow.
That we did. Me and my partner who passed away, Mr. John Keith.
Oh, God bless him.
Being a part of
BCNA?
the African American BC Black Country Music Association, being the BCMA, and also those different shows that we did back then to open the doors. What you see today is what we did 20, 30 years ago.
Wow.
So when you look at Mickey Gatton, Jimmy Allen, Kanan Brown, Lil Nas X, those artists, we prepared that 30 years ago.
Yes.
So they would have that opportunity.
To be able to do so.
Because we, at that time, we said we gonna do these shows regardless. Whether Jim Crow was there or not, we was gonna bring this to the forefront. And we did. And because of that, that materialized into what you see today with African Americans coming to country music in growth because that was a part of what they do. And what you see now, and it materialized now to the Country Soul Music Awards that's coming up.
That's right.
Okay.
And all the other things that are happening because of we said that we was gonna do that, and we did it. So I'm very happy that I'm here today to be able to do what I'm doing and still doing what I'm doing as a country lover of the music and being a part of the music. Cause why you want, my sister said, why you want to sing their music? I said, well, it's my music too. It's my music too.
Yes, it is.
Because I had a twang in my voice.
Yes.
And I sung just like them. And it was a natural thing to do. As a person of color in country music, I didn't say it was going to be easy.
Right.
There was a lot of rejections, a lot of closed doors. When I met the president of one of the major labels, he said, hey, Marvin, going to be a lot of doors closed on you because of the color of your skin. He said, but I believe your personality, you're going to even overcome that. So that's
so
what
beautiful.
I understood what I was getting involved with. But the heart and the passion and the will of God in me was beyond that. And it compelled me to move forward despite all the obstacles that was in my way. Because I didn't see obstacles. I just went to do what I love to do. And as a manager in that genre, there were no black managers in that genre.
Wow.
At the time that I went, I was looking for one, but there was none in that genre. There was 5 of them, but they didn't stay long. Barry Gordy had 5 country labels.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Barry Gordy opened up 5 country labels, but he didn't stay long. He helped the career of T.G. Shepherd and a lot of country artists. But Barry Gordy didn't stay long. There was another named Delta Ditch, Fred Clark, that I had very high hopes. He didn't stay long. So there was this thing where if you were black, stay back. And that's the reason why you had no managers, no agents that I saw in the time that I was there.
No
because I looked for them. There was no
distribution
on a lot of different levels. Charlie made it because he had a team with him and he had RCA Records with him. And he had the people who believed in him. There was O.B. McClinton, the name himself the Chocolate Cowboy. There was Big Al Downing. There was 3 or 4 sisters. Linda Martell, who was the first black female on the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
Back in the 60s. So see, all these people, the only one that sustained was Charlie Pride.
Wow.
So, but before D4 Belly, you had black string bands, Leonard Bowl, Muddy Waters, a lot of these string bands that you had back then, back in that slave trade where they sung together, all that kind of stuff. So you had the Hank Williams Jr. said, if it wasn't for a black man named Rufus T. Top Payne, there wouldn't be no Hank Williams. Wow. Hank Williams taught him how to play the blues on the guitar. Remember, Elvis used to get on, and Jerry Lee Lewis used to go to black churches on Sunday
get all
and listen to them how to play. That's how they came up with their rhythm.
Isn't that something?
At that time. So you see, you had those Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass, honed his techniques by a black mountaineer called Arnold Schultz. The Carter family learned from Leslie Riddles. He used to go ahead and take songs, play blues on the guitar, teach them how to play blues on the guitar. So the black influence in country music is measurable, but you never heard about it.
No.
Until now.
No.
Exactly.
You never heard about it. And it was never included into the black history as the blues. As we celebrate the blues and the R&B music, you never celebrate the African Americans who contributed towards country music. And that is a missing history. The story must be set straight.
Right.
And things now must be put in place.
Okay.
Because the young people of today are coming up, understanding, and they are standing up for things.
That's true.
They're standing up for things.
Yep.
So, like I said, the artists that you have today in country music, they are not staying silent. They are speaking out against the old Jim Crow. And those are the things. But my whole thing is that we continue to move forward.
Yes.
In the right way, into that genre that is hands off. You know. But now I think with the doors open, I think with the executive, but you have you have to get behind the scene as well. The executives at the record company, the PR
What are they
people,
like? Yeah.
the marketing people, all must also be diversity in that particular industry for it truly be an equal opportunity.
Yes.
Because like Rodney, we was talking about with the publishing, if you don't know about the publishing, where the money is and the ports, where the money is and the mechanical royalties, where's where they take advantage of you because you don't know. So all that money coming from the record company, you don't know because you sign these contracts where the manager take all the money and you don't get the money.
That's right.
How do you know that? Left Eye, you know, had that problem.
Yeah.
When they sold 10 million records, they only got $50,000. It's because somebody signed a bad deal.
Wow.
So I think today's day, the youngsters are coming up with the understanding that they have to do a little bit more creating their own and owning their own stuff.
Right.
And that comes from, like I said again, there's a responsibility for those of us who have been there.
Yes.
To show them a way that they should do, because I ran a lot of roadblocks, I made a lot of mistakes, and I got scammed too. But the point is now, since I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about the game, is to be able to say, hey, you don't do this, do that, and do this and do that.
Yeah.
So I try to give the young artists information about truly distribution, truly management, what to look out for, even though I'm still in the game of doing that. So that's a lot of things in terms of what I was raised up and how I came about, and it has kept me balanced. The God in me have never left.
Yes.
And I thank God he never left. He's always, now I didn't say I didn't stray.
Right.
Because I did many times. But he never forgotten me.
No, he never forgot.
And he always he pulled my coattail and always remind me, get back on the right path.
Yes, sir.
So I thank God for the lessons that I have learned.
Yes.
And I thank God for the trials that I went through. And I thank God that I did do country music and doing what I did, because I went in the area where there were no that I didn't see, and then I found a whole group of them. So I was right at home. So that for me, and doing this project with Rodney, is very important to us, to the Country Soul Music Awards and the merchandising that we intend to do, and we have a new magazine called the Country Soul Music Magazine coming out.
Really? How exciting.
Magazine coming out.
Rodney, are you going to be making country music?
You know what? It's funny.
He can sing it.
Well, you know,
Wow.
We're looking at having a lot of fun, you know, and this is where, you know, Marvin's giving me an opportunity, and this show and some of the things some of the other ancillary shows that are going to roll out around the Country Soul Music Awards. So I'm excited. You know, I'm not afraid to, and like I said, there may be some fresh new music coming.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right, now.
We will see. But I you know, I appreciate Marvin, and I learned a lot from him, and his, you know, he has that tenacity to you know, push through, and I think that the people that we're meeting, and you know, Marvin just met Jimmy Allen.
Oh,
he just met Jimmy Allen just recently, and you know, was able to shake his hand and tell him about what we're doing with the Country Soul Music Awards, and so we're excited. We're looking to hook up with some great people and great broadcaster, and we're looking at making this thing.
That's how long we've been working.
I was going to tell you what else we
we've
need to do. Let us know. We'll help you out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You will get an invite, but Marvin and I, we've been working on this thing since 2009.
Oh my
All
God.
right.
Since 2009, Marvin's never given up, and we have some great people that are lining up and funding, and we're going in the right direction. 2022 is going to be a hot year.
I feel that for
in terms
sure.
of funding, real quick, I want to hit on one thing.
Right. Yes.
I think that funding is very important when you are doing projects, music projects. We always know artists are sometimes starving artists, they call them.
Yes.
And they don't have, majority of the artists don't have the funding that they need for their careers.
Yes, sir.
And so they run around here paying Peter and Robin Paul and those type of things. I wish I had known about certain funding years ago. I've been able to use corporate credit for my funding of my projects, because it has allowed me to keep my doors open and leverage the credit in such a way that the business credit that allowed me to keep my doors open when anything else failed. And if I had found this technique 30 years ago, it would have been a whole lot more better
Another
than
game.
it was today. So what I decided to do was, let me develop a company to go out and show us about commercial credit and how to use it.
Right.
And I put together a company to go out and help people, and I help a lot of people on the importance of using commercial credit, because commercial credit and building it does not require a Social Security number if it's built properly and right. It's built on your EIN number. And it's built with ExxonMobil, Shell, Lowe's, and those things. And now, I didn't know there was 3 business bureaus, but they are. So you build the 3 business bureaus, and once you get it to, that's what the creditors are looking for, what you pay your payments on. And some of these interest rates are 0 to 3% interest rate that you'll never be able to get that commercially. So that has allowed me to go out into the community and say, hey, stop using what you're using, especially the artists, and stop going in your pocket and using OPM, other people's money, like they use ours.
That part.
And that has kept my doors open on a lot of ways by using the corporate credit program for the projects that I have done in the past and what I'm doing today. So it's very important to put that component into your dream.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the dream is a dream, but you know it take the the money to make it manifest.
Yes, sir.
So I've been able to take the money, put it with the dream, and manifest, and that's the reason why we are standing here today, seeing this dream happen, because I've utilized that technique to fund the project that I need to get done.
There it is.
Amen.
So
that's the money ticket.
That's it.
Absolutely.
So you gotta put it together, and I was just sitting there thinking,
What's that?
I'm glad that it's a good time. I mean, 2021, coming out of 2020, going into 2021 with the pandemic, and thank God we're all still here, we're healthy, and moving forward. The entertainment industry is starting to come back around, and this is an opportunity. And again, being prepared, weathering the storm, and for people who have lost loved ones, God bless you. There's, it's been a trying time. We all know someone that has been touched by this pandemic, and so now we have to take everything very seriously and build things moving forward. I just got a couple other shout outs. One being a gentleman, and actually it's a project called Bucks of America.
Okay.
It's a feature film that's coming out. It's a dear colleague of mine, Robert Gatewood.
Okay.
Top-notch producer. And Bucks of America, a lot of people don't know, during the Revolutionary War, when America went up against the British, when we were at Bunker Hill, of course, the United States said, okay, we got some slaves, we're going to put them out front, and y'all boys go on and get this thing. And believe it or not, there was a faction and a group and a militia of black men that helped turn the tide at Bunker Hill. And that's what Bucks of America is all about. And so Robert Gatewood reached out to me about the film and offered me a role as one of the militiamen. So hopefully that's going to come around.
That's
so
great.
Again, it's all about that funding. It's about that funding. And I'm working with a dear friend of mine. His name's James Andrew Luna, Taylor to the Stars, and we're working on a show called Taylor War. So picture, you ladies love all the fashion and everything, but those fashion runway shows, you don't see the real grind that goes into putting those things together.
Right.
And so James and I were putting together a reality show where you're going to see top tailors battling under pressure.
Oh my
gosh.
So
that's exciting.
So that's going to be something coming up, and we have put together a concept called a COVID-free production, because we started designing a type of production facility that would also help alleviate some of the issues about COVID and how we can do production. So we're putting some ingenious work in on that. And last but not least, I'm friends with a dear colleague. His name's Bill Montgomery. Bill is actually the cousin of Katherine Johnson from NASA. Remember Hidden Figures?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
So this is the STEM hook. That's how we have a working relationship with NASA. We literally can have NASA actually beam in live, and we've done it here in the LA Unified School District. We did it in Long Beach, where they actually beam in live and talk to the kids.
No way.
So imagine the impact of kids being able to really engage transportation at its highest form, which is space. And so we're excited about the second annual Global Diversity Summit. That's going to be February 24th, 25th, 26th. We will be working, and we would love to have your support. And we're going to be needing your support to kind of push this out. Every school district in the nation is invited to listen in on these top-notch interviews with people from NASA and head engineers and some of the most creative people and the people who have been behind the scenes. That's what we spotlight those people, and that's where you can go check us out. Go to hiddenpioneers.com. hiddenpioneers.com. So big shout out to Bill and all the people, all the Hidden Pioneers. We have a wonderful lady, Oh my goodness! And her name just slipped my mind. Lord have mercy. But she was the first African American female who was a head designer at Ford.
No way.
Oh, wow.
So we have her, and so she just a wonderful. Oh Lord, my head boy Bill's gonna kill me. But she, oh Lord, it'll come to me in a few minutes. But she was just a fantastic sister, and she was on with us last year.
Oh.
And we interviewed her, and those are the type of stories that we want to empower the young boys and the young girls to dream bigger.
Yes.
And again, there's going to be a lot of huge push from on the STEM side. We're excited about it. A big shout out to Julian Marsh back there in Richmond, Virginia. And poor fella, he came down. He got a little bug, but he's feeling better now.
Oh no!
And we're gonna put this thing together. And I'm telling you, we've got some of the sharpest people imaginable. And we are hooked up with all the HBCUs. So all the historical black colleges, they're involved. We're talking to, we're going to break up these food deserts that are happening in urban communities. A lot of people don't realize where these urban communities are, there's no fresh fruits and vegetables. There's nothing. Yeah. And so now we're looking at concepts of building organic gardens and food areas where people can go get fresh fruits and vegetables, have better diets, better health care, and everything's going to wrap around it. Everything from mental health and everything. It's going to be a good time. 2022 is going to be a hot year.
And I would say one other thing: country soul music is for everybody. Everybody attended. Yes. White, black, green, everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a soulful sound for everybody. Cheerleaders, okay, no matter. Just come on down and have yourself a what they call wing dinger.
I can't wait. I'm excited. Yep. Aren't you, Lori G?
I am, definitely. Our time together went so very quickly.
Amazing.
I tell you. Now, if I wanted to follow you gentlemen and get more information and just know what you're engaged in, do you have social media handles that we can share with our listeners?
Definitely. You can find me. It's Rodney Allen Rippy. I kept it pretty simple. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me. I'm out there. It's not the sad part about it. Well, it's really funny. If you Google my name, my doggone phone number come up. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but you know what? And my sister's like, you so crazy. I can't believe your phone number. I was like, Beverly, I didn't do this intentionally. I'm like, but the whole point is, thank God that God is protecting me, and I got good people around me who care and love. And I'm like, look, I wish everybody all the best. I don't want nothing but the best for everybody. I want everybody's dreams to come true. I want everybody to grow and thrive and to be happy, safe, and for their dreams to come true. And so thank you for your book. I have a signed book.
I know, right? It's the Poetess Reigns, guys. A collection of poetic arts. I thought you might find that of interest.
And I appreciate it. And it's autographed. Look at that.
I'm super excited.
Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the time. And I appreciate you, and God bless you. I mean, thank you to the engineer back there doing his thing. Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
Yeah, you can follow Marvin Spruill on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. Can you give us the spelling of the last name? So
yes, Spruill.
Yep. UILL. I had it a little
There you
bit
go. And make sure you keep
and the Country Soul Music Awards on Facebook as well.
Awesome.
Right.
We're gonna start. So when are we thinking we're gonna be doing this? When are we gonna be jumping into this?
We are in post-production or development right now in terms of probably it's going to be the producers. We haven't decided a date yet. Probably going to be sometime in October, maybe November. Because of COVID-19, all the shows have been pushed back, but we don't have a solid date yet.
Yes, it's a lot.
But stay tuned. We're going to let you know.
Please let the Poetry of Justice show know. Definitely. And my oldest daughter loves country music. Okay. She just loves it. So we have to let her know. No, she's a writer, though.
Oh, wow.
She writes.
Songwriter?
Yes.
I was writing country music?
Well, know, but I really believe
You don't
the
know
lyrics
her.
could be turned
Hey,
turned into song.
that's
Definitely.
what we're looking for.
There you go.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you, gentlemen,
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Thank
We've
you.
had a wonderful time.
I know we've got a little bit more time, but we're gonna go on ahead and just move it on down and let everybody do what they got to do here in the
Yes.
Poetry of Justice show. I'm not quite sure what we have up next week. What do we have? Oh, I do know we have
do.
next week. We're going to be having it's going to be film night, so we're going to have a movie director coming in, and the screenwriter, the director, and the producers.
Oh, and
Yes.
I almost forgot one last thing.
Of course.
I'm looking to make my directorial debut
Whoa.
on a feature film called The Leather Mechanic. And
Oh, my.
I'm friends with a brother. His name is David Vanderveer Burnett. David actually was the fashion behind the music. Remember the Isley Brothers when they had all that leather on with
Of
all the
course.
fringes?
Yes.
He did the leather for the Isley Brothers, Shaka Khan,
No way.
Miles Davis, Rick James, so many people that he has worked. And so we got a feature film that's going together right now, and the goal is to be able to feature his life and
Wow.
talk about all of these incredible people that he worked with, and how he is really truly the hidden behind the scenes, the fashion behind the music. So keep your ears open for The Leather Mechanic.
I can't
And
wait for that one.
Definitely.
I have a book coming out
Ooh.
later on called Marvin Spruill, The Country Soul Story.
I cannot wait to that one. The Marvin.
Absolutely. Well, you gentlemen have to come back
Yes,
Come back
as
and
these
hang out.
projects develop and keep us updated on them.
Yes,
Will
I
do.
would love to.
Thank you so much. God
You're
bless you.
welcome so much. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here on the Poetry of Justice show with Jackie Ray Phillips on YikesRadio.com and AcceleratedRadio.net. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.